If you're a longtime fan of this channel, you know that I don't really like RPGs. It's not that I like more linear games or anything, it's just, well, it's a lot more complicated than that, and I'll get into it. But I do really like Destiny, and Destiny certainly is an RPG. Now, what is it that makes Destiny more palatable to me than other RPGs? Most people would categorize Destiny as a first-person shooter, or everybody's favorite term, MMOFPS. And I know it's not really an MMO, but it's in this like weird sort of genre that's like half an MMO. Wikipedia categorizes it as an online-only first-person shooter video game, but also an action role-playing first-person shooter. Yeah, Destiny's a lot of things. Destiny is very much an RPG because of the character progression. You gain XP throughout the game, and you collect weapons and armor and currency that can be traded for more weapons and armor. You upgrade those weapons and armor, and you can upgrade your special abilities that will change certain things about the way you play the game. Progression like this, especially with the leveling system, is what makes an RPG an RPG. The reason Destiny doesn't feel like an RPG sometimes is that it doesn't have some of the tropes that most RPGs have. Take, for example, The Legend of Zelda. Now, I'm not a big Zelda fan, I only really liked A Link to the Past. For a long time, I attributed my distaste of Zelda for my distaste of RPGs. I just can't deal with all the backtracking, the running around the open world to try to figure out where to go, the constant need for a strategy guide. I'm a firm believer in user experience. I believe that everything that you need to know to progress in the game should be easily accessible to you, and in most cases that means it should be in the frickin' game. But Zelda games aren't RPGs. They're categorized as action-adventure games. There's no character progression. There are weapons and items and stuff, but most of them are necessary functions to help you get past certain parts of the game. In a typical RPG, there are weapons and items that are superfluous. Now, let's take Pokemon. There is a lot of running around and backtracking and stuff. It's a little easier to figure out what to do or where to go, but still, it isn't all there. Pokemon does have character progression, though, in the form of the Pokemon you collect, and superfluous items. It's an RPG with the same tropes that plague RPGs. Nintendo had a lot to do with Pokemon, so it is a little bit more user-friendly. But they still sell you on that guide. How the hell were you supposed to know they needed the Poke Flute to wake up Snorlax? If you didn't know they needed a Master Ball for a legendary bird, you were Destiny is an RPG without those tropes. Its mission structure is linear, and you know exactly what to do and where to go, for the most part. Admittedly, it got much more complicated after light level became involved, but that's only after the main campaign is finished. If you want to keep playing and push yourself a little further, it's gonna get hard. In most games, I just plow through the campaign missions and call it a day, but in Destiny, I wanted to max out my character. I wanted the best weapons and armor. I wanted my character to progress even more, and sometimes that meant looking shit up. Where do I find calcified fragments? When do the public events happen? Where the f do I find a Fatebringer? Don't laugh at me, because if you didn't look that up, then somebody told you. A lot of what makes an RPG good is the social experience, even in a single-player RPG. You tell all of your friends about your progress, and you share tips and strategies. This is the only way that I knew how to do anything in Destiny past the level cap. Something about this game made me want to go the extra mile. Maybe it was the camaraderie in the community. Maybe it was the extremely fine-tuned game mechanics that kept me coming back. Most likely, it was the material need for some of the best items. I want the goddamn Hawkmoon! In order to get some of these great items, you needed to do a lot of grinding, another function synonymous with RPGs. This is something that normally would be a turnoff, but since the game mechanics were so fine-tuned, and the genre was something I was familiar with, I was super into it. A game being able to hold my interest like this is no small task. I sunk a lot of hours into this game, but I have to admit, I've been out of touch with it these days. Prior to the last DLC, I was a completionist. But with the changes that came with the Taken King, the seemingly endless amount of quests, and the superfluous items that you have to run around and collect to get a thing, I plowed through the main missions, did the raid a few times, and just lost touch. I may have just been overwhelmed. Not to mention, it's very easy to get left behind in a game like this. If you're not caught up with your usual teammates, they'll just leave you behind, and rightfully so. Also, my girlfriend was my fireteam buddy. Now she's got like, what, 44,000 fireteam buddies?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really.
But there's a new DLC out now with more missions. So that means I gotta jump right back in. What's that? What do you mean I gotta grind? I beat all the main content in the last one. I should be fine. What do you mean I gotta beat Orcs hard mode? Nobody beat Orcs hard mode. So what do you guys think about Destiny and the new DLC and all the RPGs and stuff? Do you like Destiny? Do you typically like RPGs? What is it that you do or don't like about RPGs? Leave it in the comments below. Add me on Twitter, all this other social media garbage. New videos every single Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Wednesday nights is Wulff Den Live. We got our live podcast. Be there for it. Talk to us. This weekend, I will be at TwitchCon, which means that next week, this video will be a vlog of me at TwitchCon, basically being the liaison to the fabulous, wonderful streamer. She's got a signing. I'll probably be awkwardly standing off to the side waiting for that to be done. Also, if you like this shirt is in our TeePublic store, and the link is in the description for that. Thank you guys very much. Have a good week. Oh, and I got a new phone, and I made a video on that. Check that video out. It's an iPhone. I never had iPhones before. Okay. I was the biggest supporter of Destiny since day one. Hell, since the alpha. When the game came out, a lot of people were very disappointed. But not me. I was following the game very closely, so I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. My first ever favorite gun in the game was this shitty hand cannon in the beta. Here I am fawning over it. It does the coolest thing. If Breath of the Wild is a launch title, then it has to be released in March in order to make it into the 2016 fiscal year, unless those plans have changed. With this information in mind, let's take a look back at how some of the other Nintendo consoles were launched.